What's going on, everybody? My name's GiraffeAnatomy, and this is another Smite quick god guide for you. Today, the god we will be looking at is Chernobog, the Lord of Darkness. What we're going to do is we're going to go over his abilities. We're going to talk about his passive, each of his abilities, how they synergize together, and then hopefully by the end of this video, you're able to take Chernobog into an arena, joust, / even a conquest game, and know how to utilize him effectively, right? So without further ado, we're going to get into some jungle practice. I'll show you some hands-on activity, I guess you could call it. Some hands-on learning with Chernobog, so you guys can visualize it as I'm explaining it to you. And yeah, we'll get into Chernobog here. So Chernobog is a hunter in Smite. He is physical when it comes to damage, and he does ranged basic attacks, right? So normally you're going to build things like attack speed and power on him to be able to effectively utilize this long range physical attack that he has, right? Most hunters are like this. You use their basic attacks as your main form of damage, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to level everything up to 20. Well, I'm level 20, but level all the abilities up 5 each. And then we're going to get into his passive. We'll talk about his abilities, and then we'll talk about some things he can build on him as well. So really quick, let's go over his passive called Heart of Cold. Every successful basic attack impales the enemy with a brittle crystal. Upon reaching 3 stacks of Heart of Cold, the enemy explodes for extra damage in an area around them. This damage does not trigger item effects. So the damage that you're doing is going to be 20% plus 1% per level of your total basic attack power, right? And this is basically what it looks like, right? 1, 2, 3. See that little extra burst right at the end of the 3rd basic attack, right? So once you stack it, that little extra 28 that you see coming up there and that little extra burst, that is his Heart of Cold in action. This is why Chernobog likes attack speed, right? Because if you're attacking enemies, you're getting that little extra bit of damage every like 3rd auto or something like that, right? So it's very useful. You do a little bit of that extra damage. We'll talk about builds and stuff that that help get him to stack this fast and everything like that, right? Attack speed, he likes crit, he likes attack speed, he likes some life steal on him as well. So we'll go over that in a second. But first, let's go over his abilities here, right? So we're going to go over his first ability, which is called Crystallized Curses. Chernobog conjures a large crystal of curses and hurls it at the target location, dealing damage on landing. After several seconds, the crystalline curses explodes, dealing damage again and rooting an enemy in the area. The crystal can be detonated early by firing at it with Vicious Barrage. That's your 2, right? So there's the initial damage, and then there's the detonation damage of this ability. It looks like this. It's a circle. You can get multiple enemies in it, and if you hit them with it, you'll do that initial damage. And then for a few seconds, it kind of sits there, and then you do the burst damage afterwards. Any enemy caught in there when it does the detonation damage towards the end, you'll have a 1 second root, right? So I think it sits there for like 3 seconds. That's the detonation duration. If you want, you can use your 2 to fire it early. I will show you that in a second, but this is basically Chernobog's main clearing ability. When you're in wave, you're going to throw this down. You can get all the minions in there if you do it right. You should be able to get most of them in this circle ability. You throw it down on them, it'll charge, it'll explode while you're autoing them early game, right? So it's normally the first ability you get to clear everything. So let's talk about his 2 and kind of how it synergizes with his 1. His 2 is called Vicious Barrage. Chernobog fires an enlarged crystal shard that can pierce enemies and deals damage like a basic attack. This applies a single stack of Heart of Cold to all enemies it passes through and instantly detonates crystallized curses. After firing, Chernobog gains increased attack speed for several seconds. So first of all, by itself, this is what it looks like. And if you throw it out, it will do damage as if it was a basic attack, right? And then he has that full stack of Heart of Cold on them, right? And if they have that full stack of Heart of Cold, what it's going to do is when you basic attack him, right? It's the full stack. You're going to, it'll add a stack of Heart of Cold to it, right? Just like it's a basic attack. So it'll be included in like his basic attack chain. So treat it sort of as it's basically its own basic. It's not really anything like, it's not an ability that's to be done damage, right? It's more for what it's used for, right? So it's not like a overly damaging ability. Like some abilities that are straight lines like this, you expect to do like a couple hundred damage or some extra damage. It's not. It's treated like a basic attack, right? But the important thing about this is after firing, Chernobog gains an increased attack speed for several seconds. So it starts at 40%, goes to 60. Look at my attack speed down here, 1.27. After I fire this, I'm at 1.84 for the next couple seconds, right? Use this basically as your attack speed stim. That's how you want to use this, like first and foremost in your mind when you're using it solo and by itself. Basically push it if you need that little extra bit of attack speed, right? And it'll last 5 seconds once it's fully stacked. 30 seconds when you're at level 1, 5 seconds when you've leveled it all the way up to max, right? So yeah, so it'll apply a single stack, right? And then 2, 3, then you get the explosion, right? So it kind of acts like the basic attacks. But the best part about this is how it synergizes with the 1, right? So if we put down the 1, if you fire this vicious barrage into that crystal that's in the 1, you will explode it and detonate it early. So you don't have to wait those 3 seconds, right? So if you put this down and then you use your 2 into this, it will explode early. You can do that really fast and in rapid succession to really get a lot of burst damage with Chernobog off, right? So really quick, I'll show you again. When you're just autoing somebody, right? You can throw down your 1 and you want to hit the center of it. If you miss, it will not detonate it. That was just timing and coincidence that you saw there. But if you miss that crystal in the middle, you will not detonate this 1 right early. You have to hit the crystal in the middle. So if I throw this down here, and if I use my, see how it's like targeted and now it's untargeted, if I miss it, it's not going to go. Right? So yeah, so you can detonate that early. I'll show you what it looks like just doing it like real fast, because you can really quickly like mash 1, 2 and get this off while auto attacking. So if you're auto attacking and you just do like a 1, 2 real quick, like you're able to get that burst damage off. It's going to root your enemies. And because of this, Chernobog does end up being a little mana hungry, especially early on in the games, right? If you do this, right, 1, 2, see how he's rooted and he stopped walking? You're gonna get you like some extra basic attacks on them and stuff like that. It's a really great way to initiate damage, to chase some targets down and things like that. So let's talk about his 3, and we'll talk about how kind of all those work together, and we'll talk about his ultimate and how they can synergize, right? So his third ability here is Into Darkness. Chernobog dashes forward, dealing damage and slowing an enemy he collides with for 2 seconds. If Chernobog comes in contact with a wall, he briefly enters it as a shadow, becoming untargetable and immune to damage for up to 3 seconds. Chernobog can leave the wall early by dashing or just stepping out of the wall. If he remains for the full duration, Chernobog will automatically dash out as its time expires. So first of all, the main thing people sometimes overlook is this is a slow. If you dash through somebody, you will slow them, right? See how he's slow right now? And then he gets back up to speed. So this is really good with chase down if you're able to, or even like going through somebody. If you're trying to reposition, you can dash through them and use it semi-offensively. If you're trying to chase somebody down, or even if like someone's attacking you and if you position right, so the way you want to go is the other side of him, if you dash through them, it's going to be harder for them to catch up to you because you slowed them for a little bit, right, as you dash through them. So it'll be harder for them to chase you. If you can get the dash like through an enemy jungle that's ganking you, right, be able to like twist and turn around on them and then dash through them, you're going to get a slow on them, right? So you have to hit an enemy with your dash to slow. The other great part about this is if you go into a wall, right, so normally your dash is only like this long, but if you can go into a wall, you'll see this charge up and you can dash again, right? So actually lengthen his dash a little bit sometimes, or you can dodge abilities or anything like that with this dash. So the 2 things to remember is it's a slow. You hit somebody and go through them, it'll do damage to them, but it also slows them, right? So once again, damage and the slow, which is nice for chase down. But it's also you're able to avoid like enemy ultimates. You're like CC immune when you're in the wall, right? They can't like target you. Like Dodgy can't do chain, so if you want, you can maybe try and hide in here, like dodge a chain or 2, go hide in here, and then come out, right? When you get the chance. So it's a really great evasion tool. It also lengthens your dash if you can dash into a wall and then out again. It kind of makes the dash a little bit longer if you do it in rapid succession. So if you're running away from somebody, right, and you're near a wall, you can be running and just kind of do like a Now you're like pretty far away from them, right? It's hard unless they use a movement ability as well to catch up to you when you do something like that. So yeah, that's the basis of these 3 abilities with Chernobog. What I would recommend, always save your dash if you're, your main ability is going to be like your 1 and 2. Save your dash for safety most of the time, but you can do something like a 1, 2 auto, slow them, keep autoing them, right? Like they should stay within range, right? So you can use all 3 of them together if you want, or you could dash them first. Excuse me. You can dash them first, get the slow on them, so it's easy to hit your 1-2 combo, right? So if you're able to come into a fight and you're able to dash and then 1-2, they're a little slow, so it's easier to hit the 1-2 after you've dashed them. So that's a way that you can utilize that as well, for just his first 3 abilities. Now let's talk about Chernobog's ultimate, which is a great ultimate, especially for a hunter. He's an Apollo in this category of able to rotate to team fights. It's a global ult. It's called Living Nightmare. During a brief channeling period, Chernobog summons shadows at the location of all enemies that lasts for 8 seconds and apply a short stacking slow. Chernobog can select any of his shadow clones to fly towards. Once he reaches the location, he takes the place of his shadow, refreshing his cooldowns as well as temporarily obtaining damage mitigations and extra movement speed, right? So first of all, this last 6 seconds while you're in the air, the damage mitigation once you land is 20%, which is great. Like 20% of all damage is just mitigated. It doesn't get applied. And then 25% movement speed, so it allows you to chase targets down or run away. If you're using this kind of defensively, you can use his ult defensively as well. And then his shadow slow, it's 4% stacking 3 times. So the longer you're in the air, the more of a slow they're gonna get. And then your shadow clone speed, it depends on what level it is, but that's basically just how fast are they catching up. So really quick, I'll show you what this looks like. When you're in the air, you basically have 6 seconds to choose a target, right? And see how all of these enemies have a shadow clone on them? I can now choose one to go to. Now I didn't choose one there. If you don't choose one, you just go straight back to the ground. Let me do this. Let me get this here again. Reduce the cooldown. The other thing to note about his ultimate is it will refresh all his cooldowns. So if you use your 1, 2, and your 3, right? Let's use this 3, 1, and 2. Then you go into your ultimate, and then you pick a person to come down on. They all just refresh. So you can literally do another full rotation, right? Just from coming down there, right? So you always have all of your abilities up as soon as you land. It's a really great ultimate. And like I said before, it's global. You can literally do it from over here. And you can see across the map, right? So you'll see where your shadows targets are, and you'll choose the one that you want, and it should apply the slow. You use your 3, you use your 2, 1. A lot of damage. You're able to really do a lot of burst on them once you land, right? And remember, you have those damage mitigations, and you have the movement speed, so you're able to really chase down some targets. So maybe you don't have to use your 3 right away, right? Might be a good idea to hold on to it. You can see how mana hungry he is. I just use like a rotation of abilities, and I'm like out of mana on him. But let's ult again real quick. So not only are you stacking the slow on them, the longer you wait here, but when you come down, you should be able to, with just the attack speed and mitigations, be able to follow them. Then you can use your your and like your 1-2 combo after maybe you've autoed just a little bit, because when you land, you have a lot of really good attack movement speed with him, so you should be able to kind of like chase some people down. If you use your dash through them, they will definitely be slowed, plus you have your movement speed, right? So it's going to be hard for them to get away from you. You should be able to auto them down from there because of that. So now that you know all of Chernobog's abilities and kind of how all this stuff works, obviously his Heart of Cold is stacking all the time when you're doing your basic attacks. Let's talk about builds a little bit for Chernobog. So Chernobog is really mana hungry. I highly recommend something like Death Toll on him for early game sustain, just because you're going to get health and mana back when you're just basic attacking a lot. So this will really help you out when it comes to mana usage, right? So if I do this, and I do that, and I do this, look, I'm at like quarter of my health is down already. If I just basic attack, I'm going to be getting that 1 + 9. You see that? That's my mana recharging with Death Toll. So I'm able to recharge it a lot. because I'm just basic attacking. So that's what Death Toll does, right? It'll give you health and mana back. It'll give you sustain. This works on minions too, right? So you just basically keep targeting minions and stuff like that. I'll show you really quick for the minions. Oh, I dipped into the fountain a little too much. But it's the same thing, right? You're going to be getting that mana back as you auto, and this will help you sustain, right? And so you're basically going to use your 1 like that early game, your 2 to help clear the wave and stuff like that with him. But yeah, Death Toll gives him more sustain. The other thing is, so I know because he's so mana hungry, a lot of people actually build Transcendence on him because of that. If you do Death Toll and then you build a Transcendence on him, which I don't have, because I don't normally build Transcendence on him, but if you build Transcendence, you need to go Aussie as your 3rd item for Lifesteal to synergize with Death Toll, right? So the rule of thumb is if you're getting Transcendence, get Aussie as your Lifesteal item. If you're not going to do that, you could do a Death Toll. Personally, I've been doing this a lot lately, but I do Atalantas and then Aussie, right? So basically you're getting Aussie if you're not getting like Dev Gauntlet. These are kind of your 2 options when it comes to lifesteals for hunters right now. If you get the Dev Gauntlet, you won't need to do something like Aussie, but Devourer's Gauntlet is if you're going more of like power, like I would say more power builds or builds where you're not capping out attack speed at 2.5, right? That's when you would go Devourers. If you're trying to cap out attack speed, which Chernobog, because he has an attack speed stim, I think Silver Branch and full attack speed works on him better. If you're going to go attack speed, I like doing something like Atalantas and then Aussie, because you're getting lifesteal from Atalanta's bow and attack speed, right? And some crit. And then you're going to get Aussie, and then you're going to get attack speed and some crit with some flat physical pen, right? Then you go into something like Wind Demon here. So this is a pretty good start with him because you're getting this attack speed plus the passive here. Critical hits are going to apply 10% penetration and increase your attack speed by 10% and movement speed 10% for 4 seconds, right? You're able to chase down targets with this really well. If Wind Demon, the only time I switch this out is if they have anti-heal. I will go Shadow Steel here versus Wind Demon. If you're versing like hard anti-heal gods, like they have a Guan Yu, they have a Soul, you know, especially if you're like laning against Soul or something like that, it might be really hard to like in the middle of the game do anything in lane because she heals so much, right? That's when you would get something like anti-heal, like you would get the Shadow Steel. You can maybe even go it sooner, but I like doing the Atalanta's Aussie first because this is your lifesteal coupled with Death Toll. With this, with these 3 items, you're able to sustain pretty well in lane, right? Get an enemy here real quick. Just auto them. You're able to kind of like lifesteal through a lot of damage. You know, with the mana regen and stuff, you're able to like stay in lane and farm as much as you want. I'm just holding left click against Guan Yu here, and I'm maintaining like a pretty solid like lifesteal, right? My health bar is kind of staying somewhat steady, right? And as you get stronger and you get more attack speed, that'll be more consistent, right? So something like this is good. And then obviously like a Wind Demon, and then you go into Silver Branch, right? Your Wind Demon, Silver Branch give you your penetration here, so you're at 30% with these 2 items because this passive kicks in plus the 20% here. And then when you press your 2, at this point you're already able to stack Silver Branch in this item slot because when you press your 2, you're getting that attack speed buff. Obviously I'm at 60% right now, so if you max this out, you'll be able to get to it earlier, right? Like around this level. These are like the first 2 things you kind of max out. And then this, because of the attack speed, you want to utilize it. So instead of just damaging somebody for 362, like once you know that passive comes in, then you're going to press your 2, and now you're doing like 410, right? Because your attack speed is higher, you're getting the procs on the Silver Branch bow, like all that stuff, right? So between Wind Demon and Silver Branch, you're able to, at this point, with your 2, use it as the stem and start proccing that Silver Branch stuff, right? So you can literally use it like this. You don't even need to use your 1. You can just do autos in your 2. You're doing a ton of damage to people already. And then what you do at this point is, it's kind of up to you. If you want to go like heavy crit, you can do Deathbringer, but like I said, if you're already building the Silver Branch and the attack speed, it's a good idea to build something like a Kins or an Executioner here, or something else with more attack speed on it, right? Oboe, meh on him. Iqbal, it's whatever. But normally when you get a foe, you actually go it sooner. But I like to replace it with an Atlantis bow early, get that crit online earlier. So you could do something like Executioners on him because there isn't a glyph in this build yet. And then you could get something like Ferocious Executioner, right? That would be like really good with him. So just with something like Executioner, now you have even more pen. And I highly recommend Executioner if you forego. If you forego Wind Demon and you opted for Shadow Steel because of the anti-heal, right? Like I said before, you're not going to get the passive from Wind Demon anymore to help proc Silver Bow. So with your 2, you're not getting as many stacks. I think it was like 14 on Wind Demon versus 12. But once you get Executioner, because you aren't able to get that 10% passive on Wind Demon, right? The 10% physical pen here, you need to make up for it somewhere else. Ferocious Executioner will do that. You have the physical protection being reduced by 7% or like up to 4 stacks, right? So you will end up doing your damage, and then obviously when you mark somebody with this, right? That's without me using my 2. So now you're chunking a lot, right? 372 when it's not a crit, like 651 when you are critting. Obviously this guy's level 1, but still. Very good synergy between all of these items. You are able to cap Silver Branch Bow when you use your 2. Ferocious Executioner will help you with the pen, right? You'll be able to burst down most people, and you're healing from Aussie, your Death's Toll, and your Atalantis Bow. Now you have an option to upgrade your starter. What are you going to do? When it comes to this, you can either go more attack speed and burst and kill with Death's Temper. I really love this item. Or if you notice that they have not built anti-heal against you at all for some reason, and it's this late in the game, almost everybody has their items. Like, if this happens in lower lobbies and stuff, if like one person on their team is anti-heal, you can get Death's Embrace and like never die. So Death's Embrace basically is a beefier Death's Toll in regards that like every basic attack is going to restore 2% of your health. You're not getting attack speed with it, but you do get so much sustain that you're able to, like, in team fights, just hold down left click and normally not die. Especially with, like, Atalantis Bow and Aussie too. If you get too low, Aussie, like, kicks in while below 35% health. You gain an additional 30% physical lifesteal. You should be fine in some of those team fights, right? But I like to go Death's Temper here, just because now I am permanently capped over for Silver Branch. This is without even me using my 2. Right, so now this is just me autoing, not even using 2. And now when I use my 2, I'm at 45 stacks with the Silver Branch Bow with a build like this. So this is full build. You're critting often enough that it like really works out, right? With just 2 crit items, like you're pretty solid on that with the way the crit works now. So yeah, and yeah, you do like a 1-2 combo. They're rooted, they can't really do anything. You do some zoning with them. If you do this and you dash through them, they're slowed, right? They're not able to really like come down on you or get away from you with a movement ability with that slow and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically Chernobog. That's a build that I like on him. Like I said before, you can do a Dev Gauntlet build. You're not really going to be trying to cap attack speed with a build like that. But you could do like a Devour Gauntlet. I would recommend going, if you do go Dev Gauntlet, trying to get Executioner a little bit earlier. And then like Silver Branch still just for the pen. So with Silver Branch and Executioner, you can do something like Dev Gauntlet. Dev Gauntlet, you can kind of opt for Deathbringer instead. So I did sell these items, right? And I decided to go Dev Gauntlet. Depends on how meta like Dev Gauntlet is at the time, right? If you do Devourer's Gauntlet, oh, I did not want to change team. I wanted to stack my items, man. Go to change team. Go back to the team. Right, if you are able to get Devourer's Gauntlet, which is 70 physical power, 25% physical lifesteal. Now at this point, I think you can do things like Wind Demon for some pen, and then Executioner, right? Or Kins, like Wind Demon, Executioner, Kins. Then you're going to go like a Deathbringer here, right? And then with something like this, you have enough pen, and now you have enough crit. You're going to hit like really hard. You wouldn't have been able to upgrade this yet, but you're still going to hit like pretty hard with something like this, especially because Deathbringer makes those crits like way beefier. Now your attack speed isn't the same, right? You can still use your 2 to get that attack speed up like you want. But yeah, you're basically counting on like the crits happening. And at this point, it's like, okay, I probably want a little bit more crit. I do have enough pen if I go these two. I don't need to do Silver Branch, so maybe I can grab like Atalantis at the end here or something like that. But yeah, I personally like the other build I did, like the attack speed one, starting with Atalantis in this. I guess you could like not get this right away and do this, and then this. So these three first, and this will give you a lot of lifesteal. And then you do the Executioner, right, to make sure you're starting to get pen online. And then you would do Deathbringer, and then you'd finish with either a Wind Demon or something like that on the end here. So yeah, that's basically it. You can also throw a Silver Branch bow in there instead if you wanted to. If you had a Silver Branch bow, like this one, you're going to chunk more, but you don't chunk as fast, right? Silver Branch bow would probably go, it's more consistently applied, but remember, you're not really getting it for, you're just getting it for the pen instead of the stacks. Like, you really want pen by this item. If you haven't gotten it here, you need it here. So this needs to be a pen item of some sort. If you don't go to Executioner, you can do the Silver Branch, this, and then you can do Executioners late, right? You still have your two here. You can get Executioners on the back end of this. And yeah, and I'd recommend probably upgrading the Envenom, like Deathbringer to Envenom Deathbringer. You will slow them and decrease their damage and be able to outtrade like a lot of people with it if you get Envenomed. And then obviously here you can decide more lifesteal or more attack speed at this point with this. I don't know. You do get overcap on. You do start getting into Silver Branch bows passive when you do use your 2 on a build like this. So this wouldn't be too bad either, and it's a lot of lifesteal. Like, you were gonna have a hard time dealing with you if you do this, right? You're gonna have a lot of lifesteal with just these 2 items here, right? With Dev Gauntlet, it's really hard to bring somebody down with a Dev Gauntlet like this, and with an Atalantis bow and crit and stuff like that. You're really gonna chunk the crap out of him. So these are probably like the 2 basic builds that you'll see on him. If Dev Gauntlet is out of the meta at the time you're watching this video, it might be something that's like similar to this, but instead of this, it's like Transcendence, like I talked about earlier, which is not in any of these. If you build a Transcendence because he's mana hungry here, you normally would want to get Aussie right here by this point, right? And then you can get into, okay, what do I want? You normally don't go crit when you do these types of builds. Like, if you do crit, it's like these last 2. It'll be like a Wind Demon Deathbringer or something on the end here. If you're not going the crit, with something like this, you could do like a Kin's Executioner, or you could do I'm just trying to think here. Kin's Executioner, it's not bad. I would probably actually opt for the crit at this point with a build like this. I just think it'd be really good, especially with Transcendence. And you have the 20% here. You could do like Wind Demon Deathbringer, or like I said, if you need anti-heal, put the Shadow Steel there. And you'll still chunk with these. Let me show this real quick. Go to the item stack. Bloop. Okay. I did not know item stack stacked Silver Branch to 100. What the crap? Okay, well, that's fun. Okay, so now it's normal, right? Now it's normal. It's just like Deathbringer. But you hit and chunk really hard. If you have Transcendence and you build something like this, you'll have enough pen between Silver Branch and Wind Demon to be able to do a lot of damage, plus the 15 flat with the physical pen here, right? You get a little bit of cooldown too, which is nice because Chernobog uses abilities. So yeah, and if you don't want to do Wind Demon, right, and the crit, I just recommend doing the Executioner in like a kin size, like really getting that pen online and stuff like that. But yeah, the 20% with Silver Branch plus the 10% passive, you chunk pretty hard with a build like this too. So these are probably the main builds you'll go on Chernobog. So yeah, that's about it for me and talking about Chernobog and his things. If you guys haven't already, we have a Discord called the Smite Dojo. We play games, it's Smite exclusively. We play Smite in that server. It's a learning server or just like a have fun server. We don't care if you're good, bad, ugly. Join the Discord, interact with us, ask mentors about builds, have people play with you. It's a great way to party up and have people that are non-toxic, like play with each other. We don't care, if you're feeding or whatever. It's like, we understand Smite's a hard game to learn. It takes time, so we're here to basically play with you guys, so you don't feel judged or like feel like you're doing bad or something like in these games. We're just here to have fun, enjoy the games, join the Discord link is in the description below. Join that there. Also subscribe, because I'm going to be coming out with a video for every single god in Smite. It will happen. It might take a while, but I'm on the way. I'm almost done with the C's, then we'll be at the Z's eventually one day. So thanks guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And hey, I'm going to need you to have a good day. You going to have a good day? Have a good day.